Greetings from the heat of Tuska Festival. It is time to continue our artist interview series with Samy Elbanna. Hi Samy.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good, and I just have to say, you had one hell of a gig over there. Oh my god, I must admit that I was afraid of your life. At some point, I think we will insert some footage of this endearing, horrible, but great thing. But anyway, it was very enjoyable.
That's like a perfect way of describing the whole show. Endearing, horrible, but great.
Anyway, you are at one piece.
Exactly,
Thank
that's
you.
the main thing. But I do hear that a lot. That people are, typically they're pretty afraid for my life during a show, but
Yeah.
I can't really say that I have everything covered. I don't, but I'm still here and I still have two arms and two legs and I'm still moving, so.
Yeah, and if you go, you'll die with your boots on.
Exactly, I mean, there's no other place I would more like to die than on stage.
Yeah. Would there be a rockier way to live than just be like, children are watching.
Honestly, that's the fucking thing. I was listening to this one podcast where this dude was talking about the fact that everyone's always like, there was some case of a drummer of some punk rock band a few years ago who apparently got a heart attack and died on stage, which is horrible, absolutely fucking horrible. And everyone kept on saying, well, you know what? I bet he died. You know, he died doing what he loves and blah, blah, blah. Then the podcast guy was like, that's absolute fucking bullshit. He was definitely not doing what he loves. He was dying, being scared on stage, getting a heart attack. That's not playing music. That's dying of a heart attack on stage. So for the record, I would not like to get a heart attack on stage, but falling off of something is fine with me.
Just fast and reasonably painless.
That got morbid really fucking fast.
Yeah. I mean.
It is what it is.
Who cares about small talk anyway?
Exactly. Skip the small talk. Let's go.
Yeah, you guys were a mutter trucking treat on Radio Rock main stage for us. But how was the gig for you?
Honestly, today's gig was, I mean, every time someone asks that, I will typically say it was the best gig ever, because to me, every single opportunity, and this comes from the heart, seriously, every opportunity that me and my band get to be on stage and play for one person, for 10 people or 1,000 people, it's gonna be the best fucking situation ever, because ever since we were kids, this is what we've been dreaming of. So once again, today, it felt like the best 60 minutes of my life, and today I honestly I felt more connected to people than I have been for so fucking long. And obviously it makes total sense because we haven't been able to do this for 2 years, and getting to play to however many thousands of people there were today was just incredible. I felt something really strong, something larger than anything we can feel. And we played well. My voice was open, my arms were open, and I had a fucking great time. So I think today was incredible.
Yeah, it was. It truly was. One of the questions from my followers actually was that, do you prefer smaller venues or bigger festival gigs?
That's a great question, because it's a great question, and honestly it's a difficult one also, because typically it's such a different kind of scene, and you have to treat it with a kind of different kind of respect in both situations. You know, you're gonna have a club situation, which I think the best part of it is the fact that it's always gonna be dark and your production will typically look a bit better. But when you have a situation like this where you have tens of thousands of people, and you have people who have not only come to see your band, but they've come to see a lot of other bands, so you're going to have a lot of people who are going to be hearing your music for the first time, versus being in a club situation, which usually it's going to be your headline show. I mean, obviously there are support situations, everything, but I love a festival situation because you just have people from so many different backgrounds, you know, coming from different countries, just loving music of all sorts. And especially, you know, I love metal festivals, but I also love kind of cross-genre festivals where you have pop bands, you have metal bands, you have rap acts and everything, because, you know, I'm a lover of music, not a certain kind of music. So I mean, so basically that was a terrible way of answering your question because I didn't give you any fucking answer.
Yes,
but
you
I
did.
love both situations in a different way.
Yeah, that's actually...
I'm so sorry.
I mean, that's a very good way to put it. Like, why to discriminate any venue?
Exactly.
They both have their sides.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And because I think if someone kind of has like, a thought before the show that this will be better or worse just based on where you're doing it, be it a festival or a club show, I think that's fucked up because you always have to think of every situation just as being the coolest situation ever, be it inside, outside, in a fucking airplane, anything. It's just cool. So yeah, that was a terrible answer. Fuck it. Both are cool.
No, that was a beautiful answer. Comment down if you thought that was the best answer ever.
Do that.
You were saying that you love festivals with different kind of like cross-genre music and artists going on. Is there any genre of music that you don't listen to?
Honestly, I'll have to be honest with you. There are very few that I could say that I don't listen to them.
Yeah.
I mean, probably one that I could say like point blank that I don't listen to is black metal. Like that,
right.
it's something that for certain acts I can appreciate the music, but I just don't actively listen to it. But what I've always, we've always talked with our guys, and I've always kind of had this opinion that even when there are bands or genres that I don't actively listen to, I want to always be able to tell everyone that I do respect what they do, and not liking a band does not automatically mean that you dislike it. It's just that it's not your thing, and sometimes you just gotta kind of get into things, you gotta understand it, or have a certain kind of situation in your life that you can get into it. But for me, it's just been like black metal, I just don't get it. It's not my thing, but I can appreciate some of the bands. There are a lot of bands, unfortunately, in that genre whose values are just fucking bullshit.
All right.
So fuck those bands. But for the bands that are normal, it's
Are
cool.
normal.
It's cool what they do, but it's just not my thing. Otherwise, almost everything goes.
All right. I love your answers so far. You're such a sweetheart.
Thank you.
Now that we are talking about different genres and influences, maybe musically, how do you see Lost Society has grown up over the years?
Honestly, that's a massive question, and I think, well, honestly, I mean, if you just put up all of our albums back to back, you will definitely see it, because I think the thing, like, what I want to say always in the beginning is that even though the music has progressed and we have grown up as musicians and whatever, you can kind of see the story developing, and no matter what we've done with our music, you can always still hear Lost Society in it. You hear our heart and our soul in it, and that's what I respect the most, because there's always going to be people who are like, oh, okay, you're selling out, you're doing this and that, but I just don't see it that way. I see it the way, we've been 14 essentially when we've started the band.
That's crazy.
And now, we're 26, 27, 28, blah, blah, blah. So I think I can challenge anyone out there who calls us sellouts to challenge themselves in a way to think that, are you the same person that you were 10 years ago? Obviously not. You've done things differently. Your values may be different or whatever, but I mean, it has a certain amount of influence of just what we listen to. It has influence on our lives, what we've been through, what we've seen around the world, and I think that's the way that people can see what's been happening since 2013 to the year 2022.
Yeah.
I think that's the best thing, because if I start listing bands, I think that kind of, it takes some of the mystery away, or not mystery, it takes just, because then people will be too quick to judge you based on, okay, so you're saying that you sound like this now. It's like, no, it's just an influence. An influence doesn't mean you're stealing some band's sound. But what I can say, what has happened is just that we've grown as humans. We've been through a lot of shit. Everyone has had relationships fucking, die out. We've had close ones that have had problems. It's just like, everything influences us, and everything influences me as a songwriter, as a lyricist. So I mean, that's what's happening always, and that's the number one thing that you can see in our albums.
Yeah,
or hear in our albums.
Taking influence from life.
Exactly, because if you can't take influence from life, what's the point of doing this? because for us at least, or for me at least, music has been the only way to get all of my fucking aggression out. It's where I get my sadness out, my happiness out. It's my outlet. And I feel so privileged to have something like music where I can just pour my fucking, my heart out. Because without it, I would not be here. And that's a fact. That's 100% true. So that's the way I want it to be. I want people to be able to listen to a song and be like, okay, well, this guy has definitely been going through something, but I think it's beautiful that he's been able to build it into a song or disguise it into a song, however you want to put it. So
channel it.
Exactly, channel all your positive and your negative energy into something as beautiful as music.
Yeah. I remember I'm a songwriter too, and when I was little, there were like some taboos that my parents just wouldn't discuss about, and I just like wrote songs about them because nobody wouldn't like discuss them with me.
That's beautiful. I think that's what this is all about. It's like. It's like, an author, he has his books, or she has his books, she has her books. A musician has the music or the lyrics. A filmmaker has the films. It's just, if you're able to find something that you can just, channel everything into, that's fucking, you have to take every possibility that you have. And I think that's amazing. And for example, with stuff like that, because it's terrible that we live in 2022 and still there are so many subjects that are taboos in our society and our culture. And I feel like music is definitely one of the kind of last places that still you can fucking do anything, you can say anything, and people, and you have your young listeners or your older listeners, and they're like, wow, fucking finally someone's saying that, because I've been feeling that for my whole life. I'm so glad that someone's saying that. So I mean, that's what connects us all here. There may be 20,000 people here today in this festival, and someone will hear a song, but there's going to be 20,000 different ways of interpreting that song depending on what your life situation is at that moment.
Yeah. Multi-purposes.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now that we are like talking about purposes and meanings, one of the questions, one of the most frequently asked questions was people wanted to know what's the meaning behind your band's name.
Well, honestly, I think that's like it's pretty ironic, the fact that when I started the band in 2010, I mean, I was let me see, it was 12 years ago. I was fucking 14, 13, something like that, and I had gone through a lot of different band names, but they just didn't feel right.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't know where it came from, but it was just something like, okay, Lost Society, that sounds pretty good. And it's ironic the fact that year after year, it's become just more and more relevant to what we're living in. And I'm like, well, you know what? It was a good call when I was 13, because it feels like people are getting just fucking more and more lost in all of this weirdness. Totally. So I feel like it's just, I mean, I can't say there was anything deep. There wasn't a deep meaning when I came up with it, but I feel like the story just progresses as we go by.
Yep.
Yep. Heard it here first.
Nothing to add there. Samy, can you name me some singers that you look up to and why?
Wow. Well, I'm gonna give you like a few different ones.
Yeah.
I'll go through kind of the cleaner vocalists and then the growlier ones, because obviously I like to kind of mix all of that together. But honestly, as a number one and someone who I've looked up to since I was a kid and kind of I've got even more into as the years have gone by, is obviously Corey Taylor, because I just think he's an angel and a devil in one package, and he just blows my mind. And the fact that he can just get better and better as years go by is mind-blowing.
I know, right?
And right beside him, I'm not going to say it's second because it's right beside him, is Chester Bennington, who was probably just the best singer and the most soulful singer and interpreter of music who I've ever heard in my life. And those two, obviously they do a lot of what I try to do, which is combine the clean vocals and the harsh vocals together. But Then we have singers like Bruce Dickinson from Iron Maiden, who obviously I've looked up to since I was a kid. And to mention, obviously, I think he has been my biggest influence as a frontman also.
Yeah.
Because, you know, from watching DVDs from Iron Maiden as a kid, seeing him get everyone so excited in the crowd, I've always been like, I want to do that.
Yeah.
I don't care if I'm the singer of the band, I'm still going to do that because I love being a hype man. I love seeing people smile. And obviously I'm so fucked up in the head that ever since I've been a kid, I've just been a natural born entertainer, and I care about other people's happiness more than my own. So it kind of makes sense that I do this. And then we obviously have, you know, from the harsher vocal side, the late and great Aleksi Laiho, who was just, you know, my biggest mentor and, you know, idol in every way.
Yeah.
And you know, I think that's probably like the big four or the big five or the big three. I don't remember how many I said, but you know, Corey, Chester, Aleksi, and Bruce Dickinson. Yeah, that was four. So we'll go with those right now. But you know, as I said earlier, I love all kinds of music, and I love listening to different kinds of singers and trying to get all kinds of influence from them. So, you know, I listen to a lot of Justin Bieber. I listen to a lot of Bruno Mars. A lot of fucking, you know, stuff like that. And I think that's, you know, that's one of those things. I feel like metal musicians, there's just too many of them who are like, oh, you can't listen to other kinds of stuff like that. It's like, fuck off, because that's what's going to set you apart from everyone else, listening to everything. Because there's so many closed-minded people who are like, no, I'm going to get influence only from this style. So how are you possibly going to get anything diverse if you're only going to do that?
Yep.
It's just my opinion.
Well said yet again.
Thank you.
I have two more questions for you, actually.
Awesome.
I thank you for your time already.
Thank you.
Your answers are just like sublime.
I'm so sorry they're so long, though.
No worries. I think this is just the kind of answers that people want, and I love when you share so openly. From your own music now, what's the most personal song for you to perform now, and why?
At the moment, we're in a situation where we premiered 2 songs from the upcoming album. We're doing a song called 112 and Stitches. Those are the 2 singles that are out. And honestly, I mean, because point blank, the whole new album is basically my diary from the last 2 years of my life, which have been fucking terrible, just to point it out like that. It's been terrible. And I was lucky enough to have music once again as my outlet to write about everything I've been going through mentally, physically, and just, you know, otherwise. And, you know, 112, obviously, as Finns, we know it is the national emergency number. For Stitches, you know, we're talking about fucking traumas from the past and the way that you can't put a bandage over something that's bleeding so heavily. So I think every song that I'm going to be doing from the new record is going to be super personal. There's a song on the new album, it's the closing song called Suffocating, which it's kind of one of those situations that I'm kind of looking forward to doing it in many ways, but I feel it's going to be the most difficult song that I've ever done live. Because it's just, honestly, I can't really say anything else, but you can wait until you hear it, because I think it's going to be pretty self-explanatory. But I feel like no matter how deep we go with all of these new songs, as I've always said, I don't want to be the person who's taking hope away from you. I'm trying to build a better tomorrow with telling these stories, and I feel privileged to be able to share my you know, heartbroken words and my tragic words to tell other people that, you know, I've been saying this for the last 6 months. It's funny how when you feel like you're the fucking last person on earth and you feel like you are the most alone person on earth, there's in reality there's going to be millions or billions of people who are feeling that exact same feeling. So I'm trying to just tell people that you don't need to feel like you're alone, because we're all in this together, and we all have a possibility of making each other feel better.
Wow.
So there.
So much love. I can.
Exactly. But that's the thing. I want to spread love. I mean, it's just our music is, you know, some may perceive it as angry, but I feel like it's just love in a different way. It's our language of love. And I think that's what the world needs. The world doesn't need more anger or hatred. It needs more positivity and fucking spreading love around. So that's what we're trying to do.
Can I just put this up to my channel and like play it on repeat? Comment down if you feel that. Please do. Okay, my last question is actually nice. It creates some nice continuity to this. Share more of your upcoming album. Anything you want to.
Well, I mean, honestly, all I can say is if there's one album that you definitely should check out this year, it's definitely going to be this one.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you know, it's our 5th album, which is, by the way, just crazy to even think that it's our 5th album. We've been doing this for a long time, but what's the most incredible thing is that we're still able to do this. We have more people coming to our shows than ever before. We're getting more attention. It feels crazy, but I love the fact that this is the album that's going to get the most attention right now, because it comes directly from the heart. Everything we've ever done is stuff that we like to do ourselves. You can hear the music we listen to. You can hear our stories. You can feel our heart. You know, you can feel our pain or the love or whatever the fuck. But with this one, it's just, it's a diary of a broken fucking human being who, against all odds, is still here. And I can say that I'm actually happy about it right now, which I think is more than a lot of people who we have lost in the last couple of years can say. So this album is just, it's dedicated to all of those who we lost in the last 2 years, and it's dedicated to the people who are still here but aren't sure if they have any reason to continue, and we're here saying that you do. We're in this together. Please get the record, listen to the lyrics, listen to the music, and come see us and we'll fucking cry together. That's all I can say.
Nice. I mean, you definitely have some exciting and rewarding times ahead, to say the least.
Definitely.
And just from witnessing your gig for the first time live, by the way, I cannot recommend seeing these guys live enough. They are, like I said, a treat. Like,
thank you so much.
Do it.
Thank you so much.
Go see them and go see this guy.
Definitely, please do. Please do. You are all welcome. You are all welcome. Always.
Well, here you go. Thank you so much, Samy, for this interview.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure.
It was. It was.
And I'll let you go now and us go now to enjoy the rest of this wonderful Tuska evening.
Oh, definitely.
We have seen so many beautiful performances, and there's still many beautiful performances to come.
Definitely. I mean, can I just say that this whole fucking situation feels so good, honestly.
Yeah.
The fact that we haven't been able to do this in 2 years, but the moment we get to do it, everything feels just like, everything just clicked. It feels like yesterday when we've done this the last time, even though it's been 2 miserable years. But this is what people do best. We're together and we fucking have a good time. And you know, we have people from so many different countries, so many different backgrounds, but it doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
We're in this together and we're here to have a good time. So let's do that.
Let's do that. Thank you, Samy. Can I give you a hug?
Of course you can.
Thanks again, and you will see me in my next interview, and maybe real soon reacting to their new album.
Definitely. Let's do it.
Bye.
Bye-bye.